Hello, friends and neighbors. Dr. Ken Berry, family physician here. I'm going to be hanging out with you for an undetermined amount of time, answering your questions about diabetes, all diabetes, type 1, type 2, gestational, MODY, LADA, all of them. Uh, there is so much misinformation given to people with diabetes that it's embarrassing. The average doctor does not know what to tell their patients who have diabetes, so they refer them to an organization. And I'm going to talk about this organization today, but I want everybody to understand that I'm not necessarily being adversarial to the American Diabetes Association. In fact, I and others in the low carb community have reached out to the American Diabetes Association multiple times. Dr. Bob, their chief medical officer, I have invited him to be on this YouTube channel multiple times, both privately and on Twitter. I have not received a response from Dr. Bob. As many retweets and comments and hearts as my tweets get, my exes get, I know he saw them, or somebody at the ADA saw these requests because they were retweeted too many times. There's no way they didn't see that I had invited him to have a discussion, not a debate, not an argument, a discussion. And so after months and months of this, after years of the American Diabetes Association posting recipes on their website that are full of ingredients that are going to make your diabetes worse. Me and R.D. Dykman and many, many others on Twitter calling them out for this, saying, why would you even recommend this to someone with diabetes? That doesn't even make any sense. Many of these recipes are nutrient void. They really don't have any meaningful nutrition in them, and they're full of sugar. You may have seen the headlines recently where one of their registered dietitians quit her job because she was being forced to put Splenda into recipes, such recipes as cucumber salad. And if any of you guys have ever eaten a cucumber or a cucumber salad, you know that you don't have to add sugar or Splenda to that. It tastes great if you make it properly. But she was being forced to add Splenda to the recipes, and some would say it's because the ADA received a huge donation from, I forget the name of the parent company, but basically the Splenda Corporation. They got a huge donation. And is it quid pro quo? I don't know, but she lost her job because she's like, cucumber salad doesn't need Splenda in it. Why would you even suggest that? Well, it came to the point where she had to quit her job because she got so much negative feedback from her superiors. She sued the ADA, and this lawsuit has now been settled for an undisclosed amount of money. I'm sure there's a layer of non-disclosure agreements that were signed, and so I don't expect this registered dietitian to be talking about this. But it's common knowledge now that the American Diabetes Association accepts millions of dollars each and every year from the manufacturers of insulin and other diabetes medications, and they accept millions of dollars in donations from big food corporations like General Mills and Kellogg's and Kraft Heinz and Mondelez, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and General Mills. And then all of a sudden, their products are okay for people with diabetes. Well, I and many other doctors, both MD, DO, and PhDs, have had enough of this. And so a group of us got together and we decided to start something that we're calling the American Diabetes Society. This will be a nonprofit 501c3. None of us will take salaries. We will do all this work for $0. And we will give not only people with diabetes good nutrition advice, we will provide good recipes on the website that will not spike their blood sugar and make their diabetes worse. we will provide delicious recipes that are very nutrient dense that will actually lower their blood sugar, lower their A1C, give them the nutrition they're looking for. And also we're going to have serving sizes that are appropriate for an adult human being. Some of the serving sizes on the American Diabetes Association website are laughable, like a quarter of a cup. Or, the whole thing is this big and you're going to have 1/8 of it. That's a serving. Come on. We're all grown adults here. We all eat food. Eating food's not a sin. It's not bad. Your hunger is not the enemy. But if you're eating the way the American Diabetes Association tells you to eat, you are never going to reverse your type 2 diabetes. And you're never going to have a normal A1C if you're a type 1 diabetic. If you're a pregnant mom, you're much more likely to develop and continue to have gestational diabetes if you follow the ADA guidelines. And so a group of low-carb doctors got together, and we have created the American Diabetes Society. It has already been submitted to the Secretary of State in the state of Texas. It will be a 501c3 nonprofit. None of us are getting a salary. We're doing this for free because we took an oath, and we meant that, and we're not going to do any harm. And we believe that the other diabetes organization has basically sold out. They've sold their soul. And they're not helping type 2 diabetics reverse their diabetes. They're not interested in a type 1 diabetic having a normal A1. Not okay. All right. Now, Jody says, where did Jody go? Come back here, Jody. Where did you go? Oh, man, the comments are coming in so fast. Okay, I missed Jody. So here is we've started a GoFundMe for the initial fundraising. Now, once the 501c3 is formed and official, we will no longer do GoFundMe, but we're doing this to pay for the attorneys, to pay for the website. And so I don't want any super chats today. If you want to give me a super chat, don't do that. Go to the link. It's on the YouTube Live and the Facebook Live. This is what our GoFundMe looks like. This is the American Diabetes Society logo. When we started the GoFundMe, there are 3 members on the board. Dr. Eric Westman, who you probably have heard of. If not, you should look him up, especially if you have diabetes. Professor Ben Bickman, who has spent his entire career researching human digestive physiology, insulin, glucagon, glucose, metabolism, and me, Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician, I've helped thousands of people reverse their type 2 diabetes. And so right before I went live, I checked. In 2 days, we have raised $33,000, which is wonderful. Thank you so much if you've already donated. If you haven't, there's a link down in the show notes that you can donate. And so I have an update. Since starting the GoFundMe, we've had 3 more people come on board. We have Dr. Tony Hampton now, who's a family physician in the Chicago area. We have Michelle Hearn, who is a registered dietitian, and we have Temple Stewart, who is also a registered dietitian. So we now have 6 people working on this. Nobody's getting a salary. Everybody's working for free. Okay. And so if you want to help people with diabetes, please consider donating to our GoFundMe so we can get this up and running as quickly as possible so that we can begin to put out all the information that we plan on putting out. And let me just give you a quick rundown of what we're planning on putting out. Obviously, the recipes. We're going to be putting out, we're going to try to get permission to use Dr. David Unwin's sugar equivalents, where this food has this many teaspoons of sugar in it, and put that out to everybody with diabetes in the whole world. Now, although this society is called the American Diabetes Society, it is a worldwide society. We are not going to paywall any of the information. All of the information will be freely available to every human being on planet Earth if they have an internet connection. We will not ever accept a single penny from a big food manufacturer like Kellogg's, Post, General Mills, Mondelez, Kraft Heinz, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, they can all just keep giving their money to the American Diabetes Association, and I don't think that's really going to matter, because I predict that in the very near future, fewer and fewer people with diabetes are going to be getting their advice from the ADA. Once they try the advice from the American Diabetes Society and they see what it does to their blood sugar, they see what it does to their A1C, they see how easy it is, they see how delicious it is to eat a proper human diet and reverse type 2 diabetes, or have a normal A1C and use 80% less insulin if you're type 1, I don't think they're going to have any interest in what the ADA has to say. Now, keep in mind, I'm trying very hard not to be confrontational or antagonistic to the ADA. The ADA was started by 6 well-meaning doctors who were all at a medical conference back in 1939. And I think these 6 doctors had nothing but the best of intentions. I think in the first few decades of its existence, the ADA did tremendously beneficial work. Things have changed, and they are no longer an advocate for people with diabetes. An advocate for people with diabetes would help type 2 diabetics reverse their type 2 diabetes. They would help people with type 1 diabetes have a normal A1C and use a lot less expensive insulin. That's what you would do. A well-meaning diabetes association would help pregnant women with gestational diabetes understand that, hey, if you cut the carbs, it'll go away. Now, we don't anticipate a lot of support from big food and big pharma, but if we do get a check from an insulin manufacturer or a GLP-1 manufacturer, we will send it back. We will not cash that check. We will be crowdfunded by people. We will be funded by small organizations. And then once the 501c3 is up and running, we will take angel donations from people with means who want to write us a larger check, who will have absolutely no say-so in the ADS guidelines. But if they want to support the work we're doing, we're happy to take their money. If a large ranch like White Oak Pastures, if they want to send us a big check, we'll accept that, because they're making real human food. If a big broccoli manufacturer wants to send us some money, we'll take that, because that's real human food. If cashew growers, almond growers, if blueberry growers, they want to send us a check, we'll take that, because that's real human food. But if it's something that's made in a factory and it's put in a plastic bag and then in a cardboard box and then put on the shelf and it's shelf stable for 2 years, that's not real food. We don't want their money. And they would love to hijack the ADS just like they've hijacked the ADA. But we're never going to allow that to happen. Our articles of incorporation are going to be publicly available on the ADS website when it's up and running, and we don't have a website yet. That's where this money's going to go to. You'll be able to read, and when you read our articles of incorporation, you're going to say, these guys are serious. They're not kidding around. And you'll see why when you see the articles of incorporation. When we have our bylaws produced, they will be publicly available for all to see. Any money that we spend, our entire budget is going to be completely transparent to the public. Since we're a nonprofit and we're getting tax breaks from the federal government, I feel like it's our duty to make everything transparent. Any salary we pay will be transparent. Any money we give to research will be transparent. Everything will be transparent. It'll all be available on the website 24/7 for anybody who's interested. Now, other diabetes associations can't say that, and I predict they never will be able to say that. I don't think they want to say that, because I think that they would very much like for you not to see their internal documents and just how much money they've taken from the big food manufacturers and what deals they've made. Oh, you give us this much money and we'll recommend Splenda in this many recipes. Oh, you give us this money and we'll recommend Cheerios. We'll put it in 4 or 5 different recipes on our website. Now, some people would call that dishonest, unethical, immoral. I mean, that's just how business is done. I understand that. But the American Diabetes Society is going to be different. That's not how we're going to do business. Everything will be transparent. We will not take a penny from an insulin manufacturer or a diabetic medication manufacturer because they got skin in the game. They're going to try to sway us. And although we may start out with this diligence and this fervor, we won't always be the board members. There'll be new board members one day. And we want the articles of incorporation and the bylaws to make it very clear that no matter who's on the board, we don't take money from people who are trying to sway our recommendations. That's not how it's going to work at the ADS. So if you want to donate, don't send me a super chat. Go to our GoFundMe page. There's a link in the Facebook Live and a link in the YouTube Live. I think on Twitter there's not a link, but if somebody could comment on this live on Twitter and put the link down as a comment, that'd be greatly appreciated. When we first started, it was Dr. Eric Westman, Professor Ben Bickman, and me. And now we have added 3 more people who are on fire for this mission, who literally, it's our mission to help everybody who's interested reverse their type 2 diabetes, to help every person with type 1 diabetes achieve a normal A1C and use 80% less insulin. So now we have Dr. Tony Hampton in the Chicago area, Michelle Hearn, a registered dietitian, and Temple Stewart, a registered dietitian. And we've reached out to multiple other doctors and healthcare professionals, and we're getting lots of interest. Lots of people are interested in being a part of this movement because they know the time has come. We've given the other Diabetes Association ample opportunity to come around and to say, hey, low carb is the way. And so now in their official guidelines that doctors can read, but usually don't, on page 220, there's there's a low carb option there. It's fine, but we need a lot more research on that. And that's what they'll all say if you press them. Well, there's just not a lot of long-term research on low carb diets, keto diets, carnivore diets. And so we're hesitant to recommend them. But wait, there's an important question here that nobody's asking. Do you know what that question is? Think about it. Well, there's not enough research to recommend low carb diets aggressively. How much research is there that shows long-term safety of the high carbohydrate diet that the American Diabetes Association is currently recommending? Any long-term controlled trials there? No. Any long-term meaningful trials? No. The dietary guidelines recommended by the American Diabetes Association have never been proven to be safe for people with diabetes, much less optimal. And I'm sure some of you are going, that can't be right. Look it up, my friend. Look it up. Not a single controlled trial saying, okay, let's do what the American Diabetes Association recommends with these 50 people, and let's do some other dietary intervention. That study's never been done. Now, there's lots of observational, epidemiological research, but no convincing research supports the current dietary guidelines of the American Diabetes Association. Now, if you go to their guidelines, in the back, there's a list of probably 400 or 500 citations. But none of those citations show that what they're recommending is safe, let alone optimal. And it'll take some research on their part, but if you want to go through all of the citations, look for the study that shows, oh yes, we did a long-term study in the dietary recommendations from the ADA. They're very safe. They're actually the best dietary way of eating for people with diabetes. You won't find that study because it's not in there, because it's not been done. So for them to equivocate and to drag their feet on a low-carb diet, there are many people out there who think a little more conspiratorially than you or I, and they say, well, you know what? I bet you, since they're getting all those millions of dollars from corporations that benefit when people keep uncontrolled type 2 diabetes, and from big food corporations that make your blood sugar constantly high, therefore you need more of the medication that the big pharma guys sell you. Some people who are more conspiratorially minded than you and I would say, That looks fishy to me. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's true or believe that, but I do know that they're giving advice to people with diabetes that does not help them reverse type 2 diabetes. That much is very clear. Their motivation for doing that, I don't know. Perhaps a future lawsuit will give us discovery, and we'll be able to find out through their internal documents. Somebody on Twitter said, "Dad, your name is too much like the American Diabetes Association. They might sue you." Any lawsuit opens up this thing called discovery, which means that all the internal documents can be requested and put into the court record. All the emails, all the sweetheart deals, all of the exact donation amounts, all the back channel conversations on the WhatsApp and the Slack, all that stuff becomes public record. So based on that fact, I don't anticipate a lawsuit from them, because I don't think they want anybody to have discovery of all of their board notes, board minutes, internal conversations, internal emails. I think very much they would like that for that not to happen. I think that's why they settled the lawsuit with the dietitian who was going, "Now, why are we putting Splenda in everything again? It doesn't make any sense." Well, I think maybe it does make sense at a higher corporate level. It just didn't make sense to her because she was just trying to help people with diabetes. She wasn't trying to sell products for a big corporation. And so I think that we're pretty safe from a lawsuit because of that fact. I want to know what you think. I'm open to take some questions from you guys. Thank you very much, Shy, but please don't send super chats today, okay? Donate this money to the American Diabetes Society. Thank you very much, Chad, but don't do this. Don't do super chats. Click on the link in the show notes of this YouTube Live or the Facebook Live. Donate money to our GoFundMe so that we can get the American Diabetes Society up and running as quickly as we possibly can. So that, but here's why. Here's why there's a rush. A lot of people are like, "Well, why can't you just wait for the research to come in?" Because there's low carb studies and keto studies. Why can't you wait? Here's why I can't wait. I'm a family physician. I've spent over 22 years seeing real people face to face, one-on-one, people with diabetes, people with other things. People are losing toes and feet and legs every single day. Okay? I can't wait 5 or 10 years. You might say I'm impatient, whatever, so be it. I don't feel like it's impatient to try to save a person's leg. They're like, my doctor gave me the ADA handout about how to eat. My doctor gave me, said that I need to go to the ADA website and do this stuff. Those people can't wait. They're going to lose a toe. They're going to lose a foot. They're going to lose a leg. Then they'll lose a toe on the other foot. And when you've lost both legs, your life, you lose a toe, it's a big deal. But there's a mechanical thing. When you lose both feet, you can never walk normally again. If you just lose one leg, and then you discover a proper human diet, low carb, keto, carnivore, then you can have a prosthesis and you can still walk pretty normally because you got your other leg. But when you lose that second one, I had a patient at the VA Medical Center when I was in residency. He had already lost one leg up above the knee, severe uncontrolled diabetic. And then he came in and we had to take his other foot off. And my chief surgery resident and the physical therapist, they explained to us that when you lose part of the other leg, that's it. You're basically wheelchair bound because you got no proprioception. You got no balance. You can't just put 2 artificial legs on somebody and expect them to be able to walk. It just doesn't work that way. And so that's why we're doing this. There are people that if I wait 5 or 10 years for the research to come out and then for the research to churn around in the community, in the diabetes community, and then ultimately for the ADA to say, well, okay, low carb, we're going to start pushing it more. There are people that are going to lose their vision. They'll be blind for the rest of their life. It'll be too late for them. Okay. There'll be people who their kidneys will completely fail from all the sugar because every carbohydrate breaks down into sugar. Okay. It's too late. Once your kidneys are completely dead and you're on dialysis for life. And if you saw my interview recently with the author of How to Make a Killing about the dialysis industry, you'll know if you can save one person from being on dialysis, you've done God's work. Okay. There are families this coming Christmas who will not have a grandfather or a grandmother there because we're going to wait 5 or 10 years for the research to come out and filter up through the community. No. We're not waiting 5 or 10 years. We're going to start putting out good information from a real organization, a real nonprofit that is full of MDs, DOs, PhDs, RDs, other experts who know what they're talking about, who will be able to take somebody with stage 1 chronic kidney disease and say, hey, if you'll stop following the 88 dietary recommendations and start following our recommendations, you'll never progress to stage 2. You might even reverse it back to normal kidney function. Okay, that's the kind of stuff. When somebody with a diabetic foot ulcer in danger of losing that foot, when their doctor, who now follows the ADS guidelines instead of the ADA guidelines, when he says, hey, you got to throw that ADA handout away, let me give you a handout from the ADS. You need to start eating like this. Not only will they not lose their foot, their diabetic ulcer will heal much faster. I just had a wound care specialist on my YouTube channel. We talked about this for a full hour. When you stop eating the sugar and the highly processed carbs, drinking the fruit juice, drinking obviously the Pepsi and the Coke, of course, but also the fruit juice, diabetic ulcers just start to heal. That's why this can't wait. That's why this needed to be done now. I had a 2 or 3 preeminent, very senior low-carb experts at very large, respected, prestigious universities say, nah, just wait. The research is coming. I'm sorry if I'm impatient. I'm sorry if I don't want to look one more person in the eye and say, I'm sorry, it's too late for us to save your dad or your mom. It's too late to save your foot. It's too late to save your kidneys. Too late to save your eyes. I'm sick of having those conversations. I'm not going to have them anymore. Now, everybody's a grown adult. And so if they see the ADS guidelines and say, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just going to eat what I want to, that's totally fine. That's your prerogative as an adult human. You get to do what you want. If you want to smoke crack and smoke cigarettes and eat Twinkies and ding dongs, but you understand, I explained to you as your doctor, and you're like, yep, I understand, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do. That's totally fine. Still love you, still be your doctor. But no more are we going to be giving unhelpful advice to people with diabetes. Those days are over. So if you guys have any questions about any variant of diabetes, I'm open to take some questions. Please do not send super chats. If you have money that you want to send to me, please donate it. Go to our GoFundMe. There's a link in the show notes of the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live. This is what the GoFundMe looks like when you get there. We had raised $33,000 in 2 days. This went live 2 days ago. We've already raised $33,000, and I don't know what it'll be when I get off this live. I hope it'll be more than that. We need at least $50,000 to pay for the website, to pay for all the social media, to hire a full-time employee to start working on all the stuff, to pay for the attorneys, to do all the things. Money makes the world go round, right? You guys know this. And so that's why we're doing it, because I don't think we can wait. I don't think it's ethical to wait and let more moms and dads have heart attacks, to let more grandparents have strokes, to let more aunts and uncles lose a foot. I don't think we have any more time to wait for somebody with type 2 diabetes who's in danger of losing their kidney function, who's in danger of losing a toe, who's in danger of losing their vision. I'm sick of waiting. I'm ready for action. I'm ready to start giving these people the right information, the information that they need to get their A1C under control to greatly reduce their risk, slash their risk of diabetic complications. Why would we not want to do that as quickly as possible? I've heard the arguments from a couple of preeminent professors at big institutions, and I respect these guys very, very much. And they are playing their role by doing the research to put into the body of literature. Absolutely, that's their part. But I'm not going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs for 5 or 10 years and watch people die and watch people become disabled because they have diabetes that could have been reversed or diabetes that could have been controlled. Not going to do it. And maybe that makes me impatient. Maybe that makes me impertinent, but I don't care. I don't care. And I'm sorry if that offends anybody. I'm sorry. But you know what? The practice of medicine should be ethical and moral. And you ask any normal person walking the street, is the American Diabetes Association, do you think are they a medical entity? Everybody's going to say, well, yeah, right? And so why would they be dragging their feet on recommending a low carb or a ketogenic diet? What about all the research done by Virta? Virta has got 2 years worth of research, if not 3 years worth of research on a very low carb diet and what it does to type 2 diabetes. A very low carbohydrate diet, a ketogenic diet, is the most researched diet concerning diabetes. And the ADA will actually say that in their literature. It's the most researched, but we need longer term studies because we've got all these long-term studies about Cheerios and Splenda. Oh, wait, do you? Because I don't think you do. Sorry, guys. This is, you might be able to tell, this gets me a little tore up because people don't know better. People got jobs, they got families, they got lives. They trust a diabetes organization. Why would they even give the handout if the handout is not the best available evidence? That's a good damn question, isn't it? Why would you go to the trouble to waste the ink and waste the paper, cut down the trees if the recommendations you're giving aren't the optimal recommendations for somebody with diabetes? Why would you even do that? Some people would say, well, it's because they're getting millions of dollars from big food corporations. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know their internal documents. Like to see them though, but we don't know. We don't know why they're doing that. We don't. Some people say it's because they get millions of dollars from insulin manufacturers and the manufacturers of other medicines for diabetes. They're not in any hurry. Because if the ADA came out and held a press conference and said, you know what, keto's the way, guys, real whole food keto, not all the keto cookies, cakes, and pies and bullshit, meat and vegetables. That's what you need to be eating if you're type 2 diabetic or type 1 diabetic. That's what you need to be eating. You understand, 1 million people in the United States alone would reverse their type 2 diabetes back to normal. They'd have a normal A1C. Now, do you think that would make the manufacturers of insulin happy? I would guess they probably would say publicly, oh, we're so happy for these 1 million people. That's 1 million customers lost. Does that matter to them? I don't know. I'm not privy to their private conversations. I don't know. But some people would say that's exactly why they're dragging their feet on this, and they're going to drag their feet for another 10 or 20 years because they like having $100 million budget annually. You know that they have a $100 million budget annually every year. So if you're going to donate to a diabetes organization, please consider donating to one that will actually help type 2 diabetics reverse their type 2 diabetes, that will help type 1 diabetics have a normal A1C and an 80% less insulin use and 80% lower chance of diabetic complications, that will help pregnant women with gestational diabetes reverse it and get rid of it so they don't have the increased risk that comes along with that. That's what I would ask you to do. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I've got more work to do. Thank you very much.